I mean, I saw this film 3 years ago now, and it's really stuck with me all that time. So why I was quite keen to speak to you today. I mean, it really, but what was interesting, it really shows the kind of the longevity and life of a movie, and how I just wanted to know what it's like for you as an actor when you've been involved in something to then kind of do press and discuss it, a few years on. Can it kind of prolong the experience for you of a movie?
I mean, definitely, especially when you're proud of a piece like this. It's such a pleasure to come back to, and I love talking about it. It's really interesting, the kind of conversations. I remember having, it was during the pandemic that we presented this film for the first time in Venice, and it was a very particular time. And then this film, all about death, and it's really interesting when you talk about it in terms of what's going on around the world and how people react to it, both the kind of what's the zeitgeist at that time, but also where you are at in terms of your own life. And I was a different, relatively different 4 years ago when we made this. 5 years ago, like, life changes, and shit goes quick, moves on quickly. I love talking about this film because it evokes meaningful conversations. The interviews I have, and the chats I have with people who have seen it, are always a really lovely for me. It's not this kind of trite piece of entertainment. It's a really important, profound piece, and asks really big questions, and people's reactions are often very heartfelt. And so yeah, it's interesting to come back to a few years later. I'm just so happy that it's getting a North American release. As I say, I'm really proud of it. It's a tiny little gem of a film, but it people respond. Lots of people come to me and they're like, I just wanted to go home and hug someone I love. I'm like, that's a fucking great reaction to have to a movie. Like, the more people who can see that, the better. Right now, particularly.
Yeah, no, this film broke me when I saw it. I
Really?
was
Yeah.
beards. I remember, I think I had a bit of stubble or a bit of a beard on the day I saw it, and I just remember having a wet face afterwards. It was such a great film. But I mean, it is a wonderful film, and I mean, it must be one because you've got such a wonderful career full of such great projects. This must be one that just does mean quite a lot to you. You can just tell just from speaking to you about it, but also just kind of, just the quality of the movie, and then obviously, just the quality of the performance, everything about it. It just feels like a film that has a very personal meaning to everyone involved.
It definitely does, and I think I'm trying to work out why, because I'm not a dad. Hopefully one day would like to be, but right now I'm not, and so it's not like I'm kind of going, wow, it really brought me back to being a father. And so why, I asked that same question. It's not just because, well, it was a success in terms of it got lovely critical response. It didn't get it's a tiny movie. It got seen by some people. It's on BBC iPlayer for the next year, which I'm really excited about. It'll be interesting to see if people actually kind of turn up and watch it. I hope they do. People get a little scared by it because they read the subject matter, the tagline, and they kind of think, "Oh God, that must be unrelentingly sad." And I'm constantly having to tell people it's not. It's full of hope and love, and it's a beautiful, tender film which really fills the heart up rather than leaves you drained. Um, I think the reason why I'm so proud of it is because as an actor, when you go to work, and for me this happens particularly in theatre. If you've got a great piece of theatre and a great community, a great cast to work with, a great director, there's something about that kind of the alchemy of that sort of flow state, which we're all trying to find, that kind of feeling of like, wow, you just finish a process and feel fucking buoyed up by it. For me, going to work on Noah Special, there was something magical about sitting opposite that little boy and having the best possible scene partner I could ever hope for, because he was genuinely processing the concept of death as a 4-year-old in front of me, not looking at the cameras, not looking at the other people around him. He was looking at me, and I could see in his eyes stuff going on, and he was getting moved and confused. And that's a very, very poignant, very moving thing to watch. A kid reading a book about where dinosaurs go to die, and then looking at me and going, wait, what do you mean? I don't, and I would have to try and not cry, and the director would come up to me and say, we really need you to not cry in this scene. That as an actor is all you can hope for from a scene and a scene partner. Authentic, raw truth coming back at you so you can react to it. And that, I think, for me, is why this is so special a film for me. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Daniel must be getting a bit older now. Did you keep in touch? Have you seen him at all since making this?
Yes, I saw him in. Well, we obviously saw him in Venice, and then we saw him. He came over to London, and we share videos. We do keep in touch. I think it was important. I think it was a pleasure to keep in touch with them because Kasha and Jeffrey, the mum and dad, are friends now, and I do send them messages. They're very sweet. They check in with me a lot. Daniel, a few years after the film, a couple of years after the film, was obviously getting quite a lot of attention because, you know, that kind of performance as a child turns heads, and, you know, people want him in movies, and he did a couple of jobs. And then I got a lovely message from his mum saying, Daniel's deciding to focus on his karate and his football for the time being. He's taking a break from acting. I was like, I love the fact that a 6-year-old has decided to take a pause from his acting career to focus on karate. So yeah, he's just, and that, honestly, that goes to show how wonderful support network he has around him. They could not be less pushy in terms of the parents. So he's in great hands. But also him, like his outlook on life, he's not bothered about anything success or, you know, the trappings and stuff, the fluff which comes with acting. He just wants to be a kid and go and play football and learn how to be a karate whiz. So I'm not worried about Daniel. He's in good hands.
Yeah, I quite like the idea of just kind of giving up my job for a bit and just focusing on football and karate. just, why not?
I know.
I mean, sort of mentioned as well, you sort of, you know, it is a film that just really does touch viewers, and it is resonating with audiences all around the world, because obviously it did the whole kind of festival circuit, and now it's found its way to North America. Have you had any really memorable audience encounters along the way with this, or even just be it at screenings, at festivals, or even just on the street? Have you ever, because I know it's one of those films I think people will connect to quite deeply.
I do. I have had, yeah. I mean, it's interesting. Well, so one of them really profound experiences was seeing it for the first time in a theatre, in a cinema, and it was in Venice, and everyone was socially distanced, and everyone was wearing masks, and I remember feeling the atmosphere in the room when you have. That's the beauty of like watching, you know, the shared experience, theatre, film, and sharing something like this. I just remember turning around and seeing this sea of sort of tear-sodden masks, and everyone's trying to kind of work out how to like get the tissue in, because they were all at the end of the movie. I turned around and everyone was crying, and their masks were all kind of mangled and wet, and it was very, almost kind of comedic and very memorable image. I mean, yeah, in terms of, I get people like yourself who just go, it really, really broke me, and the ones which really, the people. I've had lots of people come up to me and tell me how it then affected their relationship with their kids. Chris Evans, I remember going to, you know, he watched it a couple of times, and him and his wife, he was so moved. The way it was so moving, hearing how he had then like gone to his children, just like gathered them up and like kind of cried into their little blankets, and his kids like, Dad, what the fuck? Like, what are you doing? You know, it's incredibly moving to hear people like him, and you yourself, like, you know, 3 years later, it's still resonating. That's really, really meaningful for me, because, you know, you do doubt yourself sometimes. Well, what? My sister's a doctor. I'm like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? It's such a bizarre thing to go and get dressed up and flounce around and being a big kid. But then you do a movie like this, and you do really, like, it does chime. It makes a difference how people react, and they are reacting to this in the right way. So yeah.
Another sort of great film I think you've made in the interim between this and now was Free Guard, so Rogue Agent, which I sort of loved. I actually wrote the production notes for that movie, so so I sort of really got to love and got to know. Because obviously it's your production company, that's Rabbit Track Pictures for that. I'd just be interested to know what the kind of long and short term ambitions are for that company, and what kind of projects you're kind of interested in kind of putting out into the world.
We have been very busy. Rabbit Track is growing fast. We've just been acquired by Banner J. We've made 2 TV shows, which one is in production right now. One is wrapped just before Christmas. It's called Playing Nice, about 2 kids that accidentally get swapped at birth, based on a book by J.P. Delaney. That's in the edit. We're just locking episode 3 right now. I mean, it's mad. Like the number of spinning plates we have right now. We just engaged a new head of development, which is really great. We're currently shooting a show in Iceland about the Battle of Hastings, huge historical epic, with Nikolai Coster-Waldau playing William the Conqueror, and I'm playing Harold. So yeah, I mean, it's mad. It's a really wonderful adventure I'm on with that. And Kitty Koletsky, my business partner, is, you know, now sort of my best friend and business. You know, she's just amazing. I just love her to pieces, and she's so impressive all the time and pushes me in a way I didn't expect, and I'm so grateful for. in terms of what we hope to make, I mean, we sort of have ummed and ahed about kind of having some kind of creative mandate, which is sort of like some pithy one-liner about what we want to do. And the truth is, so far, what has been working for us is basically been following our gut and our taste, our shared taste. And when we're aligned and we love something and we pitch for it, it works. People hear our enthusiasm and they come and they give us the option. And we've won a few options, a few books against the odds, you know, against big studios. And I think it's because when we are enthusiastic about something, people hear that and they believe in us, and it's really good. So yeah, I guess if there is a mandate, we just want to keep surprising ourselves and our audiences with, you know, quality, prestige, character-driven drama. But it's there's not a specific limited mandate we want to follow. It's just making sure that we're surprising us and our audiences.
Yeah, it must be quite an exciting time, not only as part of Rabbit Tribe, but as an actor. Because I mean, you've got. I mean, when I was sort of growing up, I remember you had this kind of a bit of a sort of a difference, I think, I suppose, or a contrast between kind of TV actors and kind of film movie stars at the same time. But now, I mean, even you only have to look at your kind of credits to know that there's no such thing really now as a kind of difference between TV and film. And that's been heightened as well with the kind of the rise of streaming sites and the kind of massive sort of increase in content at the moment. Does it feel like an especially exciting time from someone within the industry? Do you feel like there's more roles and projects and opportunities than there ever has been to date?
I mean, it's an interesting question. I think the industry is becoming more sort of egalitarian in its appreciation of you know, the kind of, as you say, the old days of like film and television. And it's interesting when you go to the Golden Globes, there's still the inner circle of film actors who sit right on the stage, and then you've got the TV actors who sit on the one tier out, and then everyone else sits on the third tier, and it's kind of this strange hierarchy. There is still, and they'll probably, you know, I understand why, like there's a certain romance and a kind of gravitas when it comes to filmmaking. Even though Meryl Streep now goes and does Big Little Lies too, you've still got these kind of the festival circuit where great writers and great talent often cut their teeth and then move as a stepping stone into maybe taking on a huge HBO show or something. So film is still an entry way, and that's why at Rabbit Track we have a film slate, and we really want to nurture those films. They're not maybe our most commercial projects, but they're certainly the place where we are part of a community of really great filmmakers. Where the industry's at the moment, I mean, I've been lucky. I worked through the strike because, you know, the UK, we were different. It was different here, and we had these productions which we were producing and developing through the company. So it's been actually a really busy couple of years for me. That said, it's a tough time right now, and the industry, what with the strikes and the pandemic. I sat next to someone who's in, you know, international distribution. I said, what if you had to put a figure on the amount the industry's shrunk, what would you say? And he was like 25% in the last sort of 3-4 years. So that's, you know, scary when you think about the number of roles which are the number of productions which are not being made because they don't get the financing. Having said that, you know, I'm very lucky. I've been working on some projects I've absolutely loved, and, you know, doing theatre, Little Life, and other things. Like I'm aware that it is a tough time, and the industry is facing certain challenges, and the streaming bubble is changing, and the landscape is changing. But I'm also very, very grateful that so far I'm still being offered some great roles and in conversations with some great kind of filmmakers and TV makers. So yeah, it's kind of sort of not really it's a bit of a rubbish answer, because I'm aware of there are challenges which the industry at large are facing, and I'm aware of those very much so. But I've been lucky in the last few years. I've been able to make I've got some good people around me, guiding me well, and yeah.
No, well, you're getting good roles because you're a good actor. So it's not just luck; it's also talent. You know,
I also genuinely have really good people like advising me. And Kitty, you know, the last 2 projects I've done have been out of the company, so that, you know, I wouldn't have been working as much had we not had the production company, and she's amazing. So I am lucky to have her. I've got a very good group of people around me. And I wouldn't have done The Little Life if it wasn't for my agent telling me you should do this because you're so scared of it. I was ready to run away, and, you know, so It's a mixture. I am lucky to have a good team around me.
Well, I'm looking forward to what you got coming up and what Rabbit Track have got coming up too. And obviously, yeah, best of luck with the release of Nowhere Special in the US as well. Hopefully more people get to see cry, and this time without masks, which is always quite nice.
Yes, they can cry freely. Yeah, exactly. Let the tears roll. Thank you, Stefan. It's always good to chat. Thanks, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey, you guys!
Hey you guys.
Hey, that's what they all say.
Hey you guys.
Hey, you guys!